What's up, guys and gals? I'm Brandon from Hell or Highwater. You're hanging out with Rob on Punkvideosrock.
Dude, it's been like 6 years, man.
You were the first interview I ever did when I started what was the first incarnation of this band 6 years ago.
Dang, that's crazy. Time flies.
We're back again.
Time flies. Pleasure to see you again. Pleasure to see your performance, dude. I loved it.
Thank you.
I loved it. I'm digging the new music. And this is the sophomore album. Let's talk about Vista.
I mean, it's been a long time coming. We just kind of the circumstances of how life rolled out and how Atreyu rolled out. We had a lot of time to make this album, and at times it kind of seemed like a bit of a burden and the weight and the kind of the waiting game and everything. But the reality was, it kind of made us kind of fully realize what we wanted the band to be, and gave us an opportunity that a lot of bands don't have on their software album to like fully really think it through. And we wrote so many songs. We wrote like almost 80 songs, and it was like figuring out exactly what the direction was, and we just really kind of wanted to make sure that this next kind of album was a really clear picture of like what we had become and where we were going. And if it wouldn't have gone the way that it did, we wouldn't have written most of the songs on the album. So Vista is just it's a very special thing for us, for sure.
Now, with all that time that went through, you mentioned 80 songs. How many times did you have to like really toss all the music that you wrote and like start all over again?
I mean, quite a bit. We had like 80 songs after about 2 years, and we whittled that down to like 60 and then 40, and then a lot of them were easy because it was like, this song's fantastic, but it doesn't fit in the landscape of what we want it to be.
Right.
You know, there was a lot of really, kind of ethereal stuff, and really like kind of guitar effect driven stuff, and just different styles, really just kind of exploring where we wanted to go. So once we found what we wanted to do, it was still difficult, but like we were able to get that list down to like 25 songs, of which we recorded about 13. So yeah,
It's crazy how many songs actually get written before the album actually happens, and then you have to like.
Whenever I'm like bored on a drive and I like can't think of something to listen to, I'll go into like our Dropbox folder and just like listen through old demos, and it's like, oh, I forgot this even existed. Like, it's funny. There's so much music. But
Now, does it throw you off that you were doing Hell or Highwater, and then you went back to Atreyu for a little bit, and then you came back to Hell or Highwater?
I don't think it threw me off. I mean, the whole time we kind of like, anytime I was home, we would write, we would practice. So anytime I was home from Atreyu, which is quite a bit, I mean, we would be involved. Hell or Highwater would still be doing things kind of, behind closed doors.
Right.
And then Joey played with Atreyu for about 10 months, filling in for Travis. Joey and Kyle both came out and were like crew with us, so it was like we were always together.
We're always,
So the mind frame was always there, and so yeah, it was easy to kind of go back and forth.
Now, how are you able to like put something down while you're working on the other? Because I feel like, especially if it's a new project, you're so excited to release stuff out of it.
Well, I mean, the Vista was supposed to come out in January originally, and it didn't make sense because the Atreyu cycle was just barely ending in like December.
Yeah,
So it was like I didn't want to go. Actually, at first it was going to be the end of 2016, and it was like, well, I don't want to put out this album if I'm still in Australia with Atreyu. Or like, what? I want to focus on one and then the other. So we waited till the time was right, and that's why it's coming out when it is, and so I can fully kind of shift gears and focus on this, because I mean, we feel like the record deserves it. So we don't want to come out and just be like a side project. It's a full-time thing. It's just kind of splitting it up. It's just kind of putting the time where it needs to be for each. It's the closest thing I can really compare it to is like a Stone Sour Slipknot thing. It's like there's no side project there. Obviously Slipknot's the bigger band, but it's like you just separate them, and one does one when the other is done, and that's kind of how it goes. So that's how we're rolling it.
Now, with producer-wise, are you guys working with anyone in particular, or are you guys keeping it all in-house?
We did the record with Fred Archambault. He did Begin Again and our EP. He actually did the Last Atreyu record as well.
So he's the member of the band.
He's part of our band. He's been involved with us since day one. We started making Begin Again before I had a band. Me and him made Begin Again in his garage by ourselves. So he's really been the first person to believe in us, and the one person that's like never stopped. So I mean, most of this record's vibe comes from his doing. We were like, oh cool, we'll just make a record at your house again, and maybe get a spot in LA. And it was his idea to go out to Sonic Ranch in Texas and it was kind of like this record deserves to be great. Like we should treat it with respect and go do something special and get out of our comfort zone and do something cool. So there's just so much has happened throughout the years that we have to credit to him. So including how this record came out.
Now, what's different this time around with the band in general, like especially with you, the writing?
I mean, our lineup now. I mean, we've gotten, since the band's started, we have almost all new dudes. So me and Joey have been in the band the whole time. Kyle, our drummer, has been in the band third longest, but John, our one guitar player, and Maldy, our bass player, have been in for about a year or two. John a little longer, but this was the first album that we really wrote together as a 5-piece, and obviously on the first album I wrote most of it myself, and then wrote maybe 4 or 5 songs with the band at the time, and so it's different now, just different lineup and everything like that. But it's just we've like created this kind of bond over the years. Like we've somehow, I feel like most people would give up on a band or a project or a hobby on something that took this long. Because it was so much like, we're going to make a record. Oh, we're going to wait. We're going to do this. And then, we'll start in this time. No, we'll wait.
Well, especially if the members weren't from a different band, like if this was their main thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've kind of really just formed something over the years. And that's the main thing, is really just kind of the attitude in the band. It's the talent that lies within each member, and that's something we've never had. And all the guys that have ever played in Hell or Highwater are phenomenal. I mean, like, lucky dude to play with such great musicians and writers. But this is, for what we're doing right now and what we're kind of, like I said, what we become and turned into, this is like the perfect thing, That's
awesome. Now, that first single, I Want It All, why did you pick this song as the first listen for the new album?
I feel like we just wanted to come out swinging, That song is like we wrote that song because we wanted the Guitar Hero song. We're like, I want the song, like, we want to write the riff that, like, little kids in their bedroom are wanting to learn. Right. So we wrote this riff, and like, to us, that song just comes out, punches you in the face. Yeah. And even the lyric too, it speaks volumes of like where our heads are at. Like, we're taking this whole album and this band at this moment very seriously. So it's like there's a good statement piece of just like, we're fucking back, Now,
last year I was talking with some of the guys from Atreyu about kind of what you just mentioned right now, commercial. Because Atreyu was there for MTV, was there for, all of that big stuff, movies, everything. Do you feel like, because when I listen to I Want It All, I feel like I can see it in a movie or a video game or some kind of commercial like success. Do you see that?
I mean, yeah, I think the music definitely is accessible to a lot of different things. I feel like with film and commercials and all that stuff, even video games, like, those are all driven by a feeling. And I feel like that's what we based all of our music on, is like, we want our music to make you feel something, whether that's like anger or like I want to destroy everything, or I want to like make out with a girl, or like I want to have sex, or I want to like do drugs and pass out, whatever it makes you feel, like something. That's how we wrote our songs. So it's like, that makes sense for all that to go along with all that other shit.
That's awesome. And speaking of Atreyu, you guys played here last year. Yeah. You're back here with Hell or Highwater. Why do you want to come back to Musink?
Musink is one of the coolest festivals I think we've ever played. Hell or Highwater played a few, maybe 3-4 years ago. Atreyu's played it twice. This is our second time this year. It's just such a great festival. It's cool. Like, it's our stomping grounds with Orange County. It really is like put Orange County on the map for having like a really cool festival. And it's very just kind of like punk in its roots. Yeah. Where, not that anything is like half done or whatever, but it's just very just like down to earth. Everyone is here to have a good time. The incorporation of art and tattoos and everything is just such a perfect thing. So like, we'll be back every time they ask. Nice.
Well, like I said, I was so excited to see you perform today because it's been a while. I didn't get to catch you on the last OC shows that you had.
Yeah, it was fucking a while ago. But yeah, we're back. It's been a long time, but we're back. I mean, we're doing did this. We have a show at the Observatory on April 14th. So
you're going on tour?
Yeah, we're going on tour. Yeah, we're going out with Nothing More and Black Map and As Lions. So we're doing a bunch of stuff with them, doing some festivals over the summer, and we'll be all over the place.
Now, Vista comes out May 19th?
May 19th, yeah. Single's out now, iTunes, everywhere else, and album comes out May 19th.